This is Mark Cipollone with AutoRacing1.com. I'm here today with Jim Leo. Jim's the owner of PitFit Training, which is a facility where many of the IndyCar drivers and other drivers from other series come to become better drivers and to get in really good shape, because driving a race car takes really unique muscle skills and reaction time that other athletes maybe don't always need. So Jim, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here, Mark.
How long have you been, when did you start this, and how long have you been doing this?
The concept came about in 1993 when I began working with Penske Racing in the off-season to design a gym in Reading, Pennsylvania for their IndyCar team. And then in '94 was my first full season working with the team. I spent a couple seasons doing that and had some success with that. And then in '97, I actually formed PitFit Training itself, and then moved to Indianapolis and began working with PacWest Racing with Mark Blundell and Mauricio Gugelmin, and the rest is history.
So, about how many drivers do you have at any given time under contract, or however you do it? Is it under contract, I guess?
No. We traditionally have around 15 to 20 drivers here in town, various series, mainly IndyCar, Mazda Road to Indy, Sprint Car, NHRA, and then we have drivers who will fly in or spend time with us. They'll come in different times of the month or different times of the year. We have drivers we work with on an online program, our global online program from all over the world, and those drivers, some we'll never even meet, but all their workouts are sent to them. We communicate with them via Skype, and so we kind of have created a system that allows us to reach nearly everybody, and that's the idea behind it.
Right. So, for a race car driver, what are the important things for them in terms of physical training to be a better race car driver? What do you focus on?
Yeah, I think it depends on the series they're in. For example, IndyCar is very physical. The cars are very heavy to drive. There's no power steering. So there's a lot of strength work that goes on in the preseason that we can build up kind of a base level of strength. As we get closer to the season, we work heavier on reaction training. Their endurance is specific to the race length and the heart rate intensity. We incorporate a lot of reaction-based and cognitive drills during all this phase, and this is a lot of what they go through in the car. A lot of quick thinking, a lot of quick reactions, things they have to, they go through while they're out there on the track.
Interesting, very interesting. Maybe you can just show us a couple of things that might be unique that you wouldn't see in a normal gym that you do with drivers.
Well, yeah, this is a device that we actually created called the Race Trainer. And this is a piece of equipment that simulates the steering loads the drivers go through, which we've added on top of that. We've added the ability for them to work off of reaction. So the FitLight is a device that we use, and as the lights go off, the driver has to turn the wheel towards the light. So it'll work something like this. They sit, and it's all about speed. So we can determine how fast they're going. We can make sure that we can change the speed of the lights. We can change the load. We can create a specific sequence so that each driver can kind of battle against the other driver to see how they're doing. And we might do this for a long period of time. We'll also do something like this where we'll have the wheel held in certain positions for long periods of time, like when they're racing for ovals in the 500. We do a lot more work with them working on turning left. We'll incorporate some reaction drills, and we might have auditory drills they have to do while they're doing this.
That's a neat piece of equipment.
Thank you.
Now, I got to imagine that neck muscles are important for a driver. Is there anything that you do in that area?
There is, and that's a heavy part of what we do. We use a lot of different devices. Some of what we do is very simple, so we may incorporate simple drills like manual resistance, where a trainer will actually have a towel around the head, but then we get into some higher tech stuff like this. This is a thing called the iron neck, and this is a really unique piece of equipment. Most equipment that trains the neck works on either lateral or anterior, posterior, and very little neck equipment will work on rotational strength. And the research shows concussions usually occur with the rotational force. So this is a device that you focus on. You've got resistance pulling in one direction, but then this has a bit of like a brake caliper, and you get the rotational forces side to side like that. So I'm getting the rotational muscles. I can turn this way. So I'm being pulled in one direction, but I'm also getting the same rotational work. We may incorporate this in conjunction with the race trainer while they're doing the steering. We're using this on their neck at the same time. So that really simulates what goes on in the car. So this is a pretty unique piece of equipment that we're extremely happy to have.
I can see how that would be really good. While we're going to the next station, you can maybe, Lucille, you can see that Pietro Fittipaldi is here today. He's, of course, rehabbing from his broken legs that he suffered in Spa in Belgium, and so he's working out here today. Let's go over to another neat piece of equipment that Jim has here.
So we work heavily a lot with cognitive drills and with vision training, a lot of sensory movements that are very similar to what they go through in the race car. And this is a piece of equipment we're extremely proud of, the Synaptic Sensory Station that we acquired in January. This has a whole battery of tests that a driver or any athlete can go through. We can test their visual acuity, depth perception, reactions. There's a whole system in here, and based on that, we can take a driver like Scott Dixon, does the evaluation, we can analyze his data, and we can see how he compares in areas like target capture. The go, no go is an inhibition drill, depth perception, all these areas where he's good, where he's bad. And then based on that, we go to some training. So a simple drill like the go, no go, which is basically the driver will hit one light and not hit the other. And so they'll go and hit light, 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 and then don't hit red. And if you miss it, then it goes away. And this can be changed to go faster and faster and faster. And so the drivers are at a different level of with this kind of equipment. But this is something they'll normally do. The heart rate's very, very high. We'll incorporate this into a circuit of sorts so that they've come from fatiguing the shoulders dramatically. Then they'll go on and work something like this. But this is just a regular part of the training. They get better and better and better at it.
This looks like a piece of equipment that you can't find anywhere else. You have to come to PitFit training to get it.
You can get it, but it's going to be a pretty big price tag. Yeah, so we are one of the few that have this piece of equipment. But you'll see this kind of stuff used in baseball facilities or soccer facilities. It's pretty high-end stuff, and so we try to make sure that we have equipment that is very unique, very useful. Some things we have are as common as kettlebells and dumbbells and treadmills, but we have the extra equipment as well that's specific to what we do with our race car drivers.
How about cardiovascular? Do you go out and run with them, or do they have equipment here that they can build up cardiovascular?
Yeah, we have a lot of different pieces of equipment that we use. We use treadmills, obviously, are a fairly common piece of equipment.
Right.
The Jacob's ladder, which is a very good cardiovascular. One of our favorite pieces, we have two really good pieces that we enjoy. One is a ski ergometer, and this is a unique thing from Concept 2. And this is, the reason why we like this is because it's one of the few pieces of cardiovascular equipment that stresses the upper body. See, most things when you think of cardiovascular training, you think of running or cycling, and they're very lower body specific. Well, in the race car, upper body does more of the work. So this is a piece of equipment that taxes the core and the upper body in a way that really nothing else out there does. Huge fans of this. We're also big fans of rowing, and this is a crazy rowing machine from a company called RP3. We don't have the computer hooked onto it right now, but most rowing machines, this part is stationary, it doesn't move,
right.
And so it's not really that as challenging. And I don't have shoes on, so this is normally not how I row.
I mean, I've used a lot of rowing machines at the gym, and I never saw one that moves like this.
So this requires a huge amount of core strength and stability. So everything is moving here for balance. So for us, they're in the seated position as they are in the race car. The core is having to stabilize, so this is very similar to what they go through in the race car, this is probably the only kind of equipment from a rowing perspective that you get this effect. So we're big fans of this as well. So that's a fairly unique piece. You will not see these everywhere because they're expensive, but they're well worth the money.
I've been to many gyms, I've never seen one like that before.
We hear that a lot.
Yeah.
We hear that a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
And I think there's just some things in here that you'll find at other gyms that we use in conventional training, or we use them in a way that nobody else does. Right. And I think that's not really the fact that we have all the greatest equipment, we just have the greatest trainers.
Right.
We have the best minds for this. We think about this all the time. And so we always think about how can we change the way we do our program to focus on our clientele. And that's, I think, what puts us in a different league than anybody else.
So do you have a lot of repeat business that drivers just keep on coming back? Like what driver has been with you the longest?
Scott Dixon has been with us since 1999. James Hinchcliffe, we started with him in 2004 with Formula BMW. Spencer Piggott actually came to us when he was about 10. Really? Or younger, and did some testing with us, and then he's now back in our program and has been with us for a while. Charlie Kimball, it's just Robert Wickens worked with him way back when he was in BMW, and now he's back and worked with us right away. So there's a long list of drivers that we're really pleased to be part of the development of these young drivers. That's critical for us, is we want to see them move up, and we never really had a goal to have a lot of IndyCar drivers at the top level, but as time went on, a lot of our younger drivers graduated up, and now we have a lot of IndyCar drivers. It was never the plan, but it's gratifying to see that these young drivers have basically stuck with the program and had the talent and the fortitude to continue all the way up to the top level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any driver that overweight or anything. They're all, these days, they're all really in good shape. Whereas, back in, I remember AJ40, he was big and heavy, and, Jim Snyder, I think his name was. This guy's NASCAR drivers that were big, you don't see that too much anymore.
I think it's funny, when I first started doing this, it was a tough sell to get the drivers to buy into this. And I always kind of equate the big change I saw when I was doing this was, I had the great start with PacWest Racing, well, Penske Racing originally, but then as I was hired on by PacWest Racing, at that time they had Mark Blundell and Mauricio Gugelmin, Formula One drivers. Gilles de Ferran had come over, Alex Zanardi, Christian Fittipaldi, and they all came over from Europe, from Formula One, with the mentality of you have to be fit. It's very much of a Ayrton Senna mentality. So when they came over here, those drivers immediately said, so who's the team physio? And that's one of the reasons I was hired, because they didn't have one. Nobody had one. Right. And so these drivers did really, really well. And of course, if they're doing it, then we need to do it. And suddenly now, what you saw years before was kind of the anomaly to see a driver being fit. Now it's almost hard to find a driver that doesn't work out. Yeah. And I think even the ones that don't work out and broadcast it on social media, they still know you have to be fit. It will make you better.
Yeah. That's all very interesting, Jim. Well, thank you very, very much for the tour. I mean, I learned a lot today.
Good.
And I hope our viewers will get something from this video. And best of luck with your business going forward.
Well, let's hope we get a win on Sunday. We want to see a PitFit driver in victory lane, so we'll hope for that.
Okay.
Thanks,
That's
Mark.
it. That's it from Mark Cipollone and Jim Leo.